We've also brought in some varroa sensitive hygienic stock. And today we want to get in there and just see how they're doing. See what kind of gains that they're making, their overall progress. And we also want to start to take a look at any kind of hygienic behavior that we might see. Let's see how much feed they've taken. They took about a gallon, looks like, over the last 3 weeks or so. I like these size holes in our lids because we can use the same plugs that we use in our buckets to kind of close those up if we're not feeding. So that's kind of cool. So for right now, I'm probably just going to take that plug out, and we'll close them off. Overall, they're looking pretty good. I see bees really covered on just about through all of these. Maybe there's bees in between all the spaces. That's good to see. I'm gonna go ahead and I like to work from the outside of the box and then work my way in. Kind of can tell me early on kind of what they're doing. Okay. Wow, this is the outside frame. This is the Black Premier Foundation. And they are already drawing that out quick. Look at that. Boy, they're drawing out and putting nectar in. Okay, they're bringing in pollen, nectar. All the way out in this outside frame, you've got eggs. I love the way the yellow plastic looks in the frame. But I will say the black makes it really easy to spot eggs. So I'm going to go ahead and change this bottom box out to the wax dip. So as I pull these out, I'm just going to put these in a box off of here to the right. We've got a lot of eggs. We've got larvae. She's been busy. On this side, you can see a lot of larvae. There's some pollen coming in. I'm also just checking for the queen. A couple of these need marked. Some beautiful dark drones. Got a nice honey band on top. Lots of open brood. Same on the back side. We can see lots of cat brood. And what's interesting is I'm seeing they're not emerging yet, but we have these little pinholes where you would have thought we would have had larvae. I don't wonder if this is part of the hygienic behavior, if they sensed a mite or something with the larva and pulled it out, and then once they did so, they're backfilling with nectar. If you have any experience with VSH genetics, let us know in the comments. Is that what's going on here? Are they pulling out brood and backfilling with nectar? Because they haven't quite emerged yet. If we had some emerging brood, then I would say, well, maybe they're just emerged and backfilling, but these are really young, these are freshly capped. So let's keep looking. So this frame looks good. Lots of larvae, honey band on top. The bees are busy. Cat brood, lots of pollen, with bee bread. The overall vibe of this colony is really nice. They look dedicated to work. Looks like they've got a mission. They know what to do. They're not scrambling around or skittery. Now we've got some old queen cells here. These are old and a little dried out. So I'm going to push those down. It looks to me like this is where a queen cage was, to add that queen to this colony. Little groove here. Now this is what I keep seeing, and I'm not used to seeing something like this. So I think this has to do maybe with this strain of bees. It looks like where there should be larvae, there is no larva, and there's nectar. Now typically, if the queen had no place to go to lay, I could associate that easily with being honeybound and backfilling with nectar. But in this case, look at all this. It's almost like a buckshot or a birdshot blast on the frame there. The kind of hit miss on that larva. That doesn't look like that's a progression of larva that's capped and then hatched and then backfilled. To me, it looks like they've been possibly pulling larvae out. Maybe I'm wrong. If you know, let me know below. These are new to us here, so it'll be interesting to kind of see what everyone, if you guys know what the deal is. Here it is again. This is kind of a new appearance. I have not seen this in our Carniolan or Caucasian brood patterns. And one thing I think Italians are great at is they're prolific. I mean, they've gotten a lot of work done in a short amount of time. And I think that does have a lot of value. Now, I'm not seeing any eggs here, so I really shouldn't see a queen here, I wouldn't think. It's got eggs and larvae on the back side of this frame, so what it looks like to me is that this nuke filled out the center and they moved both sides about evenly. So maybe we'll find her on one of these outside frames. Now, we found eggs. I really don't even need to find her. However, I want to make sure that they're marked. So as we follow along the rest of the year, should they requeen, should something happen, at least we know, at least by the color ID, what's going on there. I'm going to go ahead and put this in this box here. This colony actually looks like it's going to need another box. One of the only challenges with having outyards that are so far away is, man, if you didn't bring enough equipment with you, you got to make a second trip back. So I'm going to have to make another trip out here today and put boxes on top. Here's the yellow Premier Foundation. I just love how it looks in a frame. What's cool is you can see the different color as the nectar is clear or when they first bring it in. You can also see how some of the sources are changing. The kind of tone and shade and color is also kind of changing. I think that's pretty fun to see how diverse even nectar sources are. Dark queens can be a little harder to find, which is also a good reason to mark them. I used to subscribe to the thinking that marking a queen was somehow detrimental to the queen or the function of her in the hive. And while I definitely don't go marking virgin queens, once they're back and they're laying, I've got no problem with marking them anymore. And in fact, I think it's helpful for a lot of beekeepers to have them marked, because a lot of folks get a little bit anxious and uptight if they can't find the queen, or if for whatever reason they're not seeing eggs and they can't find the queen, then they really start to get a little anxious. So I think marking the queen not only helps you get a really good idea of what's going on in the hive, but if you are requeening every year, or if you're trying to just identify different queens, I think that's pretty helpful. Our queen color this year for 2021 is white. However, on the queens that we've made from the Bob Binnie Sue Kobe queens, we've marked them purple. Here on the green frame on the far outside edge, can you see the queen? Now, old girl here, she just about got her white mark marked off there. So I think we're going to take her to the beauty salon and get her hair did. So when I was down with Bob Binnie, visiting with Chris Werner, down there, him and Pete Ellis, they're using these white markers, and I tell you, they really are a nice paint marker. I've really enjoyed using that. So Mr. Werner and Ellis, thanks for the tip on that. Got the queen. And we'll just touch up that white paint. And what's nice about this paint marker is it dries really quick, which is nice. Sometimes if you mark the queen and put them right back, you can have that white paint can get rubbed off pretty quick. Rather than put her back on that green frame, I'm gonna go ahead and move this box. So I'm gonna go ahead, put this green frame back in here. I'm just gonna put the queen right down in the box. There she goes. Now I'm gonna take this box that needs swapped out. And then replace it with this box. Okay, so we get our box changed out. Everybody's put back. The queen's in there. And then we're going to come back later, and when we go to add that second box, I think that'd be a good time to go ahead and do an alcohol wash. So for right now, I'm just going to put these guys back, or girls. Sorry there, ladies. And I'm going to go ahead and mark right here. I'm going to put a white dot, VSH, and today's date, which I think is the 7th. That lets me know the queen's laying, that she's also marked, and then what day I seen them last. Okay, everybody is good to go. We'll get these bucket feeders out of here. We'll get those home. We'll get these unwaxed boxes. We'll get these unwaxed boxes back home. Get those wax dipped. We're going to grab some more foundation, some more boxes. At least get them here, get them in the yard, have them ready. In the next video, we're going to do a mite wash on these bees and see where they're at right now. That's going to create a baseline so we know exactly where these varroa sensitive hygienic bees are today here in July, and we can continue to kind of monitor that to see if are they helping out, are they keeping mites down. What's fun about this is we can compare this with our other lines of bees in our other yards, see how they're doing in comparison with these. We have those bees with those Bob Binnie Sukobi genetics that we can compare with this. We can compare our stock, our foundation stock that came from Fat Bee Man years ago that we've continued to improve. We can kind of compare all the different stock together, see how they're all doing, and see if we're seeing any kind of differences in not only the health, but the vibe of the hive, the prolificness, and also the production. So stay tuned for the next video as we dig in and see how all these are doing. As always, I want to thank you for watching, and remember, be the change that you want to see in this world. We'll see you next time. Hey, can you help us out? Hit like, subscribe, share with all your friends, and be sure to check these great videos out too.